Today I'm going to talk about nothing. Okay, so oftentimes I'll write in this book, my nifty book, for things to remember as I'm telling you things. When I'm telling stories, I don't often use this book, but I'm going to use it today because I'm going to talk about nothing. Now I'm talking about, obviously, doing nothing intentionally. You know, we live in this hustle culture, right? We live in this culture where it's like, oh, you got to be doing stuff. You got to be making things, producing things, creating content, whatever it is, monetizing, whatever you do. You know, all those voices come in, and for good reason, because we're trying to survive, we're trying to make money, we're trying to buy food, we're trying to afford a roof over our head, and there's lots of reasons why we do that. But I, today, want to talk about doing nothing and the importance of it. Because often, when we do nothing, we feel like we are wasting time, we feel like we feel guilty. And anyway, yeah, today I just want to talk about the importance of doing nothing. And I'm talking about actively doing nothing, okay? So, to be able to talk about doing nothing, I'm going to have to go back thousands of years to talk about Taoism. I'll probably make future videos about Taoism. We'll go a little bit more in depth. I'm not going to go super in depth right now. This actually all started when I was in high school and we read the Tao of Pooh. I don't know if you guys have read that book. I'm not advertising for it, but it's great. Anyway, it really started my interest in Taoism. And Taoism has this principle of the Wu Wei. It's the effortless action or the doing nothing. You know, Taoism, and of course there's a lot of people that know more than me. Taoism is all about just like being the water that goes around, you know, and it's forceful and it's strong in the way that it's infinitely flexible. There's all these really cool, interesting, you know, hundreds of years of thought put into this sort of stuff. But I want to talk about specifically, you know, this isn't just a Taoist principle. This is something that I think is important for everybody. Humans evolved to sometimes just do nothing. Our brains work in a way that when we do nothing for a while, when we let our mind wander, it's really healthy for us. And there are actually studies showing this. And I'll get to those in a second. But when I say doing nothing, I'm talking about like intentionally, you're not doing dopamine-rich activities, you're not scrolling through social media, you're not watching a movie, or maybe something's on in the background, but your mind is wandering, okay? It really is just mind wandering. You are doing nothing. And outwardly, you know, maybe you're going on a walk or doing some sort of activity, but the important thing is that your brain is unfocused. And often, a lot of us find it difficult to focus when we're supposed to focus because we don't take the time to just do nothing. Letting our mind wander, wasting time in this way, often helps us to perform better in our busier times. It's a recharge for us. And there is, you know, a lot of studies from the University of British Columbia that talks about letting your mind wander. And that when they kind of studied the brain, they thought that when your mind was wandering, it wasn't going to be doing much. But in fact, you had a lot of brain activity when your mind was wandering. Like you would think that you focus on something, you have more brain activity than when you're not focused on anything, when you're doing nothing. But in fact, there's so many processes in our brain that need that time of our thoughts meandering to sort of figure stuff out. And one of the parts of our brain that's active when our mind's wandering is the executive network. And that's something that was a surprise to them when they studied this, because this is the part of the brain that does complex problem solving and ideation. And here's the deal, that makes sense because everybody has been in situations where their mind has to wander. Like one of those that's common for people is being in the shower, right? Like in the shower, you're usually not scrolling on your phone or through social media or watching a movie or something. You're usually just in the shower, and your mind, for a lot of people, can wander, and there's a lot of other effects that it has on your body and the heat and the steam and everything. But a lot of people report having really good ideas in the shower, having solutions to conversations with people or things that they should have said. You know, there's always these solutions that come up when your brain is wandering. Another time where this happens is when you're in bed trying to sleep. And I'm not talking about when you're like scrolling through your phone. And there's nothing wrong with scrolling through your phone. It has its time and place. I don't want to make that a negative thing in this video. But like when you're laying in bed and you're trying to sleep, and when your brain's just like, maybe not racing thoughts and everything, but when it's in that state where it's kind of just meandering around, oftentimes we'll have these enormous insights and these enormous solutions to our problems just because we gave the brain a break. I think of it like music, right? So music has the notes, and those notes are really important, but the rhythm comes from the rests in that music, the space in between them. And visual art's the same way. Like the use of space often gives so much more meaning to the colors and the patterns and the other things there. And so just like that, like our brain, which should be focused on things, and there is a time for focus, and we use that focus, it also needs times to just relax and to just like have free reign, you know, just like run around essentially in our brain, inside of ourselves, to kind of just like take the pressures of concentration off. And again, if you allow yourself mind wandering time, it'll make the other times of focus a lot easier. I do this a lot on walks when I'm just strolling outside. Sometimes I'll be listening to music or a podcast, and sometimes I'll be, talking to somebody, but often I'll just be letting my mind wander on these walks. And it's really therapeutic for me. Someone whose brain moves usually too quickly in ways that like can get me in trouble, can make me anxious, or can overanalyze situations. Giving it that space is important. So doing nothing is so important. And just wasting time, like, I feel like there was a moment in my life where I decided I was going to intentionally waste time. And it made me more productive. When I allowed myself time to waste, it made me, like, I scheduled it in. I scheduled it into my day, and it made the other things more productive. But I have this voice in my head, and a lot of people I think do, that like anytime you're wasting time, it's like, what are you doing? You could be productive. You could be doing things. Life is short. There's only so many hours in a day. Just a whole bunch of stuff. And I think it's important to be able to remember that we do want to be productive individuals who are in control of our lives and our schedules, but it's also important to have unstructured time. And they say that a lot for kids, that they need that, but adults are just big kids. And we get rid of a lot of the things we used to do as kids that are still incredibly healthy activities. I'll talk about that in another episode. I just wanted to let you guys know how important it is to just friggin' have the time to just do nothing. One of the people I respect a lot, which I will talk about also in another video, his name's Forrest Fenn. And he made a treasure that he put out in the Rocky Mountains. And we'll get more in depth of treasure hunting and stuff in other episodes. But he always talked about that he would wake up in the morning, and before he did anything else, he would just think. He would lay in bed for a little bit of time. He would just think. And he said, that's the single most important thing I ever did in my life. And he was a millionaire and had art collections and all these different things. And I just think that there's immense value in just doing nothing. Nothing is so important. Nothing is so vital. And it's actually, the leisure time of hunter-gatherer societies actually is often, when they've measured it and kind of done the historical anthropological work, it's actually like these societies had more leisure time than we do nowadays, which is mind-boggling. That we have so many things that are supposed to save our time, right? All these modern machines and technologies, they're supposed to save us all of this time, yet we have less leisure time than hunter-gatherers. So I think that there's something wrong with that. And I think that we need to have time where we just sit. And whether it's mindfulness, meditation, you're camping, or you're out in the wild, or you're just walking around the neighborhood, or you're laying in bed at night, or when you wake up, or you're taking a shower, whatever it is, I think we just need that time of deep wandering in our mind. Like wandering is such an important part of who we are as humans. We've done it physically all over the world, and I think mentally we need to do it as well. And therein you will find probably the greatest discoveries of your life, because that's where we found some of the greatest discoveries of humanity. Einstein found a lot of, his breakthroughs through dreams, through these moments of introspection, and he's not the only one. Many brilliant people have done this over the years, and I find that for me, oftentimes creative solutions to my problems will come when I'm not looking for them, when I just kind of let it go. It's kind of like in a song, you have the verse and you have the chorus, and that's great, verse, chorus, but sometimes you need to take a break from that. You need to go away and come back, which is the bridge. And I think music is just human communication in musical form. We'll, again, talk about that in another video. But anyway, yeah, take some time to do nothing. Just do nothing sometimes. It's good for your brain. It's good for your body. It's what humans do. And a lot of times I feel like we say, just breathe, just be in the moment, and just live there. I'll get more into Taoism in another episode, into treasure hunting, and all of that stuff, but I just wanted to make this video to just talk to you guys about the importance of stuff like this. I am fascinated with doing nothing. As a very busy individual who does a lot of stuff and usually has a long workload, I've really, really worked hard to put nothing into my schedule. And so anyway, I don't know if that helps anybody. I just wanted to talk about it today. This is the first video that I've used this book, and yeah. Anyway, I love you guys, and I hope you do nothing sometimes.